The UK's new Brakestop missile is cheap, it's long-range, and it's built for Ukraine. A quiet announcement in UK Parliamentary Committee just shook up the entire long-range strike conversation. No big ceremony, no glossy promo videos, just one sentence. Quote, "We have conducted the first flight test of our new cruise missile, and we plan to take it to Ukraine." End quote. If that doesn't grab the Kremlin's attention, and yours, nothing will. Because we're not talking about the boutique gold-plated missile with a Lockheed Martin price tag. This is Project Brakestop, a long-range, low-cost, mass-produced cruise missile designed from day one to be Ukraine-ready. And the UK just launched it for the first time. Hey friends, Wes here, veteran of the Army and the Air Force, or as I like to say, the Army Air Corps. Nobody ever gets that joke. Let's break down what this means and why Moscow should be sweating through its knockoff Adidas tracksuit. That's not fair. I actually love Adidas. Brakestop is the UK's attempt to build a 600-kilometer GPS-independent, jam-resistant cruise missile with a 200 to 300-kilogram warhead designed to cost no more than 400,000 pounds, British pounds, and intended to be produced at scale. This missile is built for a world where EW saturation makes GPS-guided weapons stumble. Sorry, I'm gonna need my shoe back. I'm feeling like really unbalanced. Okay, here we go. Got these for Christmas. I'm back. We're back. Where are we at? Brakestop. It is built for mass use, not boutique scarcity, and it is built to be fired by Ukraine. The UK isn't pretending otherwise. They practically said, we'll test it here, then we'll ship it east. That's not really subtle, that's strategic clarity. The news came from Major General Anna Lee Riley, head of Defense Equipment and Support. She told MPs that the missile has completed its first flight test on December 15th. Then she dropped the line that reveals everything. We buy, we try, and we scale, then we take it out to Ukraine. That's the closest thing you will ever get to a UK official saying this missile exists because of the war. Now, 27 companies partnered on the project, everything from propulsion startups to guidance system manufacturers. Some even appear to include Ukrainian firms now operating out of the UK, like Ukra Systems and Skaten. The Anglo-Ukrainian weapons pipeline is real, and now it has its own cruise missile. Storm Shadow is excellent, but it costs around 2.2 million pounds per shot. It's an expensive, razor-sharp scalpel. Brakestop is a hammer.
It's hammer, go, hammer, empty hammer, yo, hammer.
Brakestop reaches 600 kilometers. It carries a 200 to 300 kilogram warhead. It does not rely on GPS. It can hold accuracy up to about 30 meters, even in dense jamming. It cruises at roughly 600 kilometers per hour, which is roughly the speed I drive when I'm trying to get my kids to school on time. And its price cap is around 400,000 British pounds. Now, that makes it 1/5 the cost of a typical Western cruise missile, but with enough punch to ruin anything Russia tries to hide deep inland. That means Brakestop isn't about prestige, Your Majesty. It's about volume, and Ukraine needs volume more than anything. If Ukraine receives 20 Storm Shadows, they can strike 20 targets. If they receive 200 Brakestops for the same cost, Russia has a nationwide problem. Brakestop was supposed to begin testing in early 2025. It is now the end of December 2025, which makes it a year and a half late. Normally, that would trigger a procurement scandal, at least in the US, but in defense procurement time, this is practically a small miracle. This was a brand new missile concept with new propulsion, new guidance, new manufacturing lines, a strict cost cap, and a mass production requirement. And it had participation from 27 companies. If the Pentagon tried this, the first prototype would roll out in 2043 and cost more than a lunar base. The UK built something in barely a year. That's warp speed in this world. Now, Brakestop wasn't the only missile pitched. MBDA's one-way effector was cheaper, but its warhead was smaller and its range was shorter, which made it less suitable for Ukraine's deep strike needs. When you absolutely positively must hit every Russian oil refinery, Brakestop is your first choice. MBDA's crossbow had a 300-kilogram warhead and an 800-kilometer range, but it came with a higher price tag, and deliveries were scheduled for late 2026. MGI's Tiger Shark offered a turbojet design with promising long-range capability, but it was still in the early testing phase. Brakestop hit the sweet spot. It was large enough to matter, long range enough to hit deep Russian infrastructure, cheap enough to fire in quantity, and simple enough to build at scale. Oh, and robust enough to survive an EW-heavy environment. That's why it became the base model that MOD supported. And MOD officials confirmed the design was built specifically with Ukraine's environment in mind. This is not a Western missile being retrofitted for Ukraine. It is a missile built from inception. Okay, let's get into the tech goodness. It avoids GPS reliance. GPS-guided cruise missiles struggle in eastern Ukraine because Russia saturates the spectrum with jamming. Brakestop compensates with a mix of terrain matching, internal navigation, optical correlation, a little smidge of AI, and preloaded strike profiles that bypass heavy EW zones. It uses a low-cost turbojet or turbofan instead of an expensive propulsion system. Brakestop relies on a simplified engine design to be affordable and modular while still providing enough thrust for a 600-kilometer reach. It essentially uses materials that simplify production and make rapid scaling possible. It carries a modular warhead. It supports different payload types, including bunker busting, fragmentation, shape charge, or runway denial warheads. It keeps wing and body design simple rather than stealth-focused. Now, stealth geometry is expensive. Ukraine needs missiles that work reliably, not missiles that win design awards. Storm Shadow changed Ukraine's ability to hit deep targets. Brakestop changes their ability to hit them consistently. Ukraine can strike Russian oil refineries in Krasnodar on a weekly basis. It can target air bases in Kursk whenever Russia sorties jets. It can punish logistical hubs in Voronezh repeatedly. It can disrupt Black Sea fleet support sites with sustained pressure. And it can hit rail nodes faster than Russia can repair them. This is how you exhaust a dictatorship. Putin can explain away one refinery fire. He cannot explain away 50. Brakestop gives Ukraine a way to create a persistent, long-term strike campaign. The UK is not only arming Ukraine, it is co-engineering weapons with Ukraine. That's a strategic relationship Russia absolutely did not want to see take shape. Also, have any of my other international viewers noticed that Russia and the UK really tend to not like each other? There's historical reasons for that, at least as far as I remember from my international relations education. But the British Brakestop offers everything Moscow fears. It is cheap enough to buy in bulk, it is scalable enough to fire frequently, it is jam-resistant enough to survive Russian EW, and it's simple enough to produce quickly. It is exportable enough to reach Ukraine without political gridlock, and it's designed explicitly for the Ukrainian battle space. Every successful Brakestop strike costs Russia significantly more in repairs and lost capability than it costs Ukraine to launch the missile. This is economic warfare, and Ukraine finally gets a weapon designed specifically for that purpose. Brakestop marks a clear shift in how the UK views modern strike doctrine. The future is no longer these small numbers of elite missiles. We are back to volume, folks. It is shaped by large numbers of reliable missiles. Quantity beats prestige. Attrition beats spectacle. Mass saturation beats boutique capability. Ukraine needs this shift. Europe needs this shift. And the UK is building this shift. This is only the beginning. The UK was the first nation to send cruise missiles to Ukraine. Now it may become the first nation to send cruise missiles designed from scratch for Ukraine. This isn't charity, it's strategy. Brakestop gives Ukraine a sustainable way to strike deeper, strike cheaper, strike more often, and place constant pressure on Russian military infrastructure. And if production reaches 240 units per year, which is the initial ask, well, Russia's rear areas will develop a permanent migraine. Pip pip cheerio, governor, jolly good. Friends, if you want more coverage of these next wave strike systems, hit that subscribe button. More is on the way. And remember, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.